Hey, my name is Flip. I'm one of the guys that created PBRgen. PBRgen is a tool to create seamless, physically based rendering materials for your games or animations. The idea behind it is, and what we put a lot of effort in, is to control the AI so that results become more predictable and you can also use it in a more creative way. So we tried really to remove the slot machine feeling that you have with a lot of AI applications. Um, this is the tool. On the left side, you have your library. That's where all your materials get stored. You also have some examples here. And in the middle is the 3D view. That's where your shader ball is. Materials appear here. There are some hotkeys here that you can look at for all kinds of functions. To get started, you go to the right side of the material. This column is where you create materials. So to get started, press this big blue button. It gives you the choice to generate or upload. I'll focus on generating a material from scratch now. So when you click that, you enter step one of the material generation process. That's called creating a start texture. And what you do is create a texture that you will later use to create your PBR maps. You can describe what you want. There's also a pretty neat function that you can just drop an image in there and let an LLM describe the image. So you can use that as a start point, or you can hit the surprise me button if you're out of inspiration. You can also hit the enhance button if you want to have a more descriptive prompt, or just look for some words that you would like in there and like keep what you want and remove the rest. Prompts can be really short, because there's something called a prompt style here, and that's this blue text that gets added to the prompt, and that already handles like seamless and albedo and removing the lighting and stuff, so you don't have to describe that in your prompt. There are also a lot of presets in there. Today I want to make a painted brick, and I also want it to be damaged. And then you just hit generate start textures and see what happens. When you click an image, then you can see that it gets loaded onto the shader ball. Here on the top of the image view, you have the 2D, 3D switch, hotkey V. When you click that, you can see your texture in 2D and zoom in. Also hotkeys for that view here. If you press T, then you can see how it tiles the texture. Then you also see one of the problems of AI, and that is that it doesn't really make the bricks an even size. The way that we tackle that is that we add something called a guide map. And what you can do with a guide map is upload the texture yourself, or choose a preset or generate one. Like in the presets window, we have like a lot of things. You can upload any texture in here, but if you upload a displacement, you can also later use that displacement. So I'll use that brick texture for now, or you can generate one. Then we have a brick generator in there right now. We will add more generators. So you can do something like that as well. And when you generate your textures again, then you can see that it's more evenly spaced out, the bricks. Another input that we have in there is called input colors, and that just basically can give you some colors that you want to input on your bricks. There's a dice button on there that you can use to click, some presets, and we also want to add presets later in the future. If you have requests or anything, please hit the feedback button on one of the sections, or the big one here in the bottom of the main viewport, and just say like add preset for input colors. And then we will pick that up and put that in there. Um, yeah, that being said, let's see what it does. And then you see that you get results that are yeah, way closer to or like that the colors really come back into the texture. So with a guide map and input colors, you can already have so much more control over your textures, and this is one of the things that I'm really happy with and really proud of. Um, and let's make some more and also go over the prompt style. So we have now realistic albedo texture, but you can also make it in the style of a vector illustration or um, pointillism or well, splat art. Let's just try a few. Watercolor, pop art. And then, yeah, you can just click through your textures and see what the different results are. Um, Watercolors and well, this was pop art. Um, yeah, and then so the last thing that you can do is also select a model. Um, Standard model is Flux Klein because it's really fast and it's really cheap. So I think it's the best model for like price quality wise, then you would choose that. But if you want better prompt adherence, so like the model listens better to the things that you say, then I would say try Nano Banana 2, which is really good for that. And also different models have like different ways of how they create textures. So it really depends on the model, the kind of style that you get out. Yeah, so I'll just create a start texture with this and another one to see what that does. Well, and here you see a pop art style from Nano Banana, and you see that it's a little bit more gritty and less straight, and yeah, that's. And also you can see in the tiling that Nano Banana already tiles pretty good from the start. And here's another one. So if you create multiple ones, you can get also quite different results, which is also very handy. And yeah, um, I think I like this one. And like you can click just through and see how we started and then like slowly progressed to the thing that we are wanting to make. This one is nice as well. But I'll do this one. Um, so then you're done with step one, and then you hit continue with selected start texture, and you go to step two. Step two is optional. You can also not do that. But to quickly show you what it does, it gives you the option to edit your texture again with AI. There are some presets in there. Yeah, but to quickly show, you can, for example, say make green and blue or whatever. Edit your texture. Also here you can choose the different models that you would like to use. And then you can get something like this. Um, well, I like this one, so I'll just continue with this. And then it's the same thing in this step. You hit continue to material. Then you go to step three, and that's where the PBR maps get created. Choose a resolution and a seam size. This was already very good on the seamlessness, because maybe I can also offset the preview and hit T. Then you can see that that the seams are almost not visible, so your in-paint area doesn't have to be that big, so I can make it super small, or you can even turn it off. Probably with models that come out in the future that will become even better and better. So then you wouldn't even need to do this step anymore. Anyhow, create a material. It appears here in your library, by the way, from the start that you created the material. And also, when you want to go back these steps, this is all locked, but you can always say like branch off from this step, and then you create a new material, and then you're back in this step, and you can iterate again on that step. Well, the material is done, so I click it, and then you can see that it applied the displacement map, and it already tried to settle the values right, so the reflectivity, the roughness, displacement and normal. Based on the prompt, it makes like a guesstimation of how the map should look. But you can also tweak them. Right mouse button in the viewport, by the way, is you can rotate your lights, and if you hit L, then you can also look at the material with an HDRI. There are quite a few different ones in the tool. But yeah, the lights, I like that, and yeah, let's see what you can do in the tweak section. So in the tweak section, you have all your PBR maps. Metalness, for example, is completely black right now because there's no metal in bricks, so it detected that and it made it black. And there are a few different view modes, so you can watch the whole PBR material, or you can watch the flat map, this is the displacement, or you can watch the effect map, then you can see what it does and like how different sliders adjust the effect. For normal example, you can increase or decrease the normal intensity, stuff like that. And what you can also do in the color map, for example, you can add layers. So maybe you want to do a little bit of color correction on it. You can do a hue. So you want to have these colors instead. Maybe you want to tone the brightness a little bit down. And also these things you can like rearrange them, reorder them. And in that way, from top to down, it defines how the effects are calculated. For the displacement map, for example, you just have the displacement map right now. But you can also choose, for example, to blur it a little bit. And then you can see what that does. What you can also do with the displacement map is choose the map that you want, and that is now the displacement that is generated. But you can also use the guide map that we generated earlier, and maybe blur that a little bit so that the edges are not too hard. Look at it in the PBR mode. Change the displacement scale a little bit. Displacement 0 value, and then you have something that is nice, or at least if that's what you want. And then you can also add other maps here with the plus button. So let me try to add a code, and a code roughness and a code normal. The code roughness, let's make it a little bit more glossy, like it's and the code normal. Okay, we have some update errors. We'll look into that directly. Maybe you want to blur a little bit the code, and maybe you also want the code on the top of the bricks only. And maybe a little bit less. So instead of the color for the code, I can also use a map, and then I would use like the guide map again. So the code is only on the top of the bricks. You can look at it in effect view and see how that works. And I think this can still be a bit rougher. And you can also, with a levels tool, change the output a little bit so the code is a little bit less visible. And then you have something like that. Look at it with a few different HDRIs. You can also increase the tiling with the bracket buttons. Again, all these hotkeys are listed here in the viewport. Then you can see how it tiles. Yeah, and when you're happy with your results, then you go to the export section. That's the last step. And you can change the name. So I will call this pop art painted brick. You can choose the maps to export. This one doesn't have a metalness, so I'll just tick that one off. You can choose the resolution. You can also add a pack texture, so you can make an extra texture that you have like different maps on different channels. Also want to add presets for that in the future. And then you just hit download material. And then you get a zip file. There's also something that we want to add in the future is also that we add a GLB in there, because I just heard the other day that it's very easy to import into Blender. And then you have your whole shader there. Yeah, so all the maps are in here. Like the color is here. A 2K and displacement and stuff like that. And then you can use it. What you can also do is ask for a shareable link. And what it does, then you see also in your library that it adds to your published materials. And when you double click this or click the link here, then you will see that it will take you to a different web page. And yeah, also here you can use and view your material with different HDRIs, and you have all your maps here. And in that way you can share the material easily with anyone. Yeah, so that's basically the core of the tool. If you have any questions, please send me an email, go to my Discord. You can even book a meeting with me. I'm always happy to talk and explain everything more in depth. There's a short tutorial of 2 minutes in the tool as well, but it basically describes what we just did. And yeah, thanks so much for watching if you made it to the end. And let us always know what we can improve in the tool, because that is super important, and that is the stuff that helps makes it better. Okay, thank you. Cheers.